Hey everybody, so today we are going to learn how to play Sudoku. So the roots of Sudoku go back as far as the math concept of Latin squares in 1783 by Swiss mathematician Leonard Euler, establishing rules that symbols can't repeat in a row or a column. Japanese publisher Nikoli, funded by Maki Kaji, introduced the game to Japan in 1984. They shortened its original Japanese name from Suji wa Dokushi ni Kagiru to Sudoku, which means the digits must remain single. It has three core rules. Each row must contain 1 through 9 numbers with no repeats. Each column must contain 1 through 9 numbers with no repeats. And each 3 by 3 box must contain numbers 1 through 9 with no repeats. Some additional rules are that pre-filled numbers are locked. They cannot be moved, changed, or deleted. And do not guess. Every valid Sudoku puzzle has a single logical answer that can be found without guessing. So let's do a simple 3 by 3. So let's say we have three numbers given here. We have 1, 3, and 1 here. Well, we know naturally that this one's going to be 2. And because we already have two numbers here, we also know that this one will be 2. But what about the rest of these numbers? Well, we have to solve for which ones will be in these boxes, right? So we know that 2 has already been here. So we can't put a 2 here. This must logically be a 3. And we know that we have 1, 3 in here, but there's no 2's here yet. So we logically know that this must be 2. And since we have 3 and 2 here, and we have 2 and nothing here yet, well, we can basically know without guessing that this is a 3 because we have 1 here and we have a 2 here, and then that must be 3. And there's no repeats. Okay, and then by necessity, that must mean that this one is 1, right? Because there's 2, 1, and then 3. And there's no repeats up and down or horizontal in each one of these rows. For another example, it would look a little bit more like this, where let's say the puzzle extended and you had all numbers in horizontal column minus 2 and 3. Like you had all the numbers except 2 and 3. In the second row, you had all numbers except 4 and 6. And in the last column, you had all numbers except 7 and 8. Let's say this vertical column, you had all numbers except 6 and 8. In this column, you had all numbers but 3 and 7. And in this column, you had all numbers but 2 and 4. So how would we solve for that if we were given those pre-filled numbers? Well, we would know basically that we would have 2 and 3 missing from that first row, and we'd have 2 and 4 missing. So we'd know that 2 is going to naturally fall into one of those columns, right? So 2 would be here. And we also know that that marks off 2 here, and that marks off 2 here. So the only other number that would be remaining in this row for the whole line would be a 4. So that also is that number. Okay, and so we know that this one had all numbers except 2 and 3, but 2 has already been used. And if 3 is the only other option, then that must mean that this is a 3. So we have that number scratched off now. Going along this way, we have all numbers except 4 and 6. 4 has already been elucidated. So all we're left with is 6. So 6 must naturally go here. And here we already know that we have all numbers except 6 and 8. 6 has been used, so that's been out of the question. And we only have 8. And we know that all numbers in this row must be there except 7 and 8. All right? So naturally this would be 8. So we scratch off 8, and we know that all numbers in this row are there except for 3 and 7. And we know that we still have a 7 left over on this line too. And 3 has already been used, so that can be scratched out. So the only thing that we're left with is 7. And so this is how you would solve a one of the squares of the 9 by 9. It obviously gets a little bit more complicated as the puzzle increases, but I have one that you can try out yourself, and you can let me know what you think are the answers to this one. Let me know in the comments if you can solve this. Bye for now.